I have a few examples of how to do a murder mystery properly from a few other kind of genre type shows. First, we'll start with 24. So in 24 season 5, there's this plot to assassinate former President David Palmer because there's this big evil cabal of like big business types and like politicians, like people within the government, etc., who kind of used they kind of manipulate events and they kind of use terrorists and terrorism as a means of gaining wealth and power and things. So at least from the outset, the storyline is actually done really well. At least in the beginning, until it goes on for like freaking like 2 seasons, way too long. The whole storyline ends up going on for like 3 freaking seasons, and they keep exposing different parts of the cabal, and then it turns out that there's different factions in the cabal, and it ends up getting like really convoluted to the point where like different parts of the cabal are like either they're working against each other or they have their own agendas and they're kind of going off point and doing their own thing and going rogue, and it's not really ever explained, and it gets all very convoluted and ridiculous. And it was actually someone posted on a message board. I used to have it saved on a text document where it explained all the different parts of the cabal and how it didn't work, and it was very interesting. You can actually do like a whole video series just on that. If you're into 24, very interesting thing to go over. I think the writers realized that it was getting too complicated, and then they just dropped it after the seventh season. So anywho, yeah, their big evil plot. It's dependent, like the whole linchpin, the whole thing is the assassination of former President David Palmer. And um, what they did, the big evil cabal, they hired a hitman, like an assassin, to kill him. Right, straightforward, right? But what they also did was to provide a cover, like a false pretext for why he was killed, they pinned the blame on Jack Bauer. So what they did was they altered some. If I remember the storyline correctly, this has been a while. They altered some security footage, so it looked like Jack Bauer was there when David Palmer got killed. So he was in had like a vantage point where he can go and shoot him, like sniper style through a window, right? So they doctored some footage. Plus, they gave a reason why he would do it, because in the previous season, he was like he faked his own death to avoid an international incident or some bullshit, right? Or if I remember correctly. So there were four. It was four. Yeah, four people who were also in on it, who were in on him faking his death and assisted him in faking his death. And so what? And not only did they kill David Palmer, but the assassin hired gun type guy. He also went after the people who knew um, that Jack Bauer was still alive and who were in on the cover up. And they also leaked the footage, the altered, doctored security footage. So this made it look like Jack Bauer did it, and he was going around killing the people who were in on the cover up of his death, because the reasoning being that he would go and kill them because he probably thought that that he was compromised somehow. So that was a much better way of handling it here, because paralleling it with the Merlin thing, that's what the cover should have been. That's what the cover story should have been. It was the straightforward plot of Merlin was in Starling City, and um, the League was hunting him. Sarah was there on behalf of the League. Merlin got wind of it and killed her. So, a way to make this mystery more interesting would have been to do something similar to what 24 did, where that was the situation, like whoever, maybe there was a larger group that, or someone else, who wanted Sarah dead for a completely different reason. Or they were just picking off random league members for some reason. Who knows, right? But they would kind of manipulate things so it like maybe they would intentionally use like black arrows or something when killing Sarah, so they pin the blame on Merlin. And with knowing Merlin's history with the League, knowing that Sarah was there to apprehend Merlin, and knowing that Merlin was being hunted down and stuff, they would use that as like a cover story for why Sarah was killed, but really it was for other reasons. See, wouldn't that have been a lot cooler than the straightforward bullshit where it's not even a mystery? It was, like I said in the last video, it's not even a mystery. It's a straightforward plot that appears as though they retroactively just turned it into a mystery by just withholding information from the audience. A couple other examples. Burn Notice. The sixth season of the show, the main character's brother gets killed, but it's kind of the same thing by this hired gun type. But it's not really important so much as who pulls the trigger. It's who's behind it. And a lot of the time, these shows, there's it's not, when they do these murder mysteries, it's not so much about who literally pulled the trigger. It's about who's behind it and why. So, in kind of an indirect way, the main character's brother gets killed. And at first we don't even know who the trigger man is, but eventually we find out that. Then we later find out the why, and we find in the who. We find out later it was someone within the CIA who ordered the hit. That was handled a lot better. Prison Break. Like the whole plot that sets things in motion is Firestorm gets set up for the murder of the vice president's brother, right? Or something, right? Or it was the vice president. Okay, sorry, excuse me. I haven't seen this show in a while. I believe it was the vice president, the murder of the vice president, and it was all part of this big plot to get there's a big, again, with these big evil cabal of fucking big business politician types. They wanted to get their presidential candidate into office. So again, a mystery, so that they his brother, the brother of Firestorm there who gets framed. So Captain Cold goes and investigates, and the whole show kind of evolves from that. Looking into the big conspiracy surrounding the assassination. This isn't that. I mean, this is just boring. This is just a straightforward plot of just person's being hunted down by the League, person finds out, person retaliates. Like, it's so straightforward. It's just fucking boring. So, let's get into like the timeline of events for a second and how stupid this is. So, first few episodes pretty good, right? For like up to the first 4 episodes. But here's something, I didn't mention this, but here's something funny. So, Felicity, during the events of episode 304, she's not present in like the first half of the episode or so. That's because she's over in Central City because for some reason at that point she's just compelled to have to visit the Flash, right? I guess that's the reason for her being there. So she's over on episode 104 of Flash dealing with Captain Cold, helping out with Captain Cold, just for, why not while she's there. So here's a question. So actually, wait, back up. Okay, so later on, Felicity goes to Caitlin and is like, "Hey, here's some DNA. Here's an arrow. Can you use your Star Labs technology bullshit to analyze this DNA so we can find out the killer?" Here's a question: why didn't she do that in the first place? Why didn't she just do that in episode 104 of The Flash before she left? Where's the urgency? Why'd she wait until the Flash crossover to give Caitlin the arrow? Here's another question. Why the fuck did they wait to this episode to look into the flight records of Merlin? Why didn't they look into that as soon as they found out that Merlin was alive? Because they already... Nyssa was beating those assholes over the head with the fact that he was a suspect. Why wouldn't you, at the very least, investigate that? Why do you trust Merlin when he says that he didn't do it? He is an evil terrorist bad guy, supervillain. You just take his word for it? Why? And it just makes the characters look like lazy and not proactive that they insert these filler episodes between episodes 4 and 9. So, episodes 5, 7, and 8, they're just spinning their wheels, not really doing anything. And they wait until the Flash crossover to finally get proactive again. And like, can you analyze this arrow? Why do they have to fucking wait? Oh, that's right, because they had to put in filler episodes. This is fucking stupid. There's no reason why episode 9 should have just followed episode 4. It literally should have been the next episode. Why do we have these 4 episodes of filler? It just makes the characters look like they don't care. Like the murder mystery is no longer an issue. Or it's not as pressing of an issue. Oh, well, we're just going to sit around. That's not how they operate. In every other storyline in this fucking show, if they have to deal with something, they go ahead and do it because they're proactive characters. That's what superheroes do. They're proactive. They don't sit around and wait. And then also, why doesn't Nyssa in the League, why do they wait 4 fucking episodes to get back to Oliver and be like, well, you have 48 hours to find Sarah's killer or we're going to destroy the city. And the shitty explanation that Nyssa gives is like, well, we're just giving you time. Whatever. Okay, so this gets into the fucking, the problems with this season. I've been talking about this god-awful pacing and why the filler episodes, where they're inserted, do not fucking work. And finally, I'm going to finally get to this, finally comment on this. So you can finally see why this episodes 5 through 8 are just completely fucking useless. Okay, so yeah, episodes 5 through 8, the only thing that's really mentioned about the murder mystery is we get one red herring with Roy, and it turns out to be bullshit. There's kind of a red herring with Cupid, but it's never really talked about on screen. I don't know if, like I mentioned before, I don't know if that was supposed to be implied that was a red herring or what. I don't fucking know. But other than that, the characters are sitting on ass and acting just moody and shit and not really doing anything. And actually, as an aside, Stephen Amell, well, I don't know, in one of the after shows, I think it was the John Campion one I mentioned, the point was brought up that Diggle was kind of acting out of character. And one of the criticisms of the season, which I didn't really pick up on, so I didn't really comment on all that much, but a lot of people saying that the characters are acting a lot out of character.